Om Shanti. SpARC audiobook Avyakt stage. Avyakt Murli date 21/1/1969. Are all of you sitting in the Avyakt form? Whilst in the corporeal form, you have to stabilize yourself in the Avyakt stage. When you remain stable in the Avyakt stage, there will not be any upheaval in that stage. The part being enacted at the present time is the method to make all of you Avyakt very quickly. There is no need of fluctuation. Avyakt Murli date 23/1/1969. Today I have come in the Avyakt form to meet all of you, children. Only my children who are stable in the Avyakt stage will understand this. Whilst all of you children are stable in the Avyakt stage, whom are you seeing? Are you seeing him, Brahma Baba, in the Vyakt, that is corporeal form, or the Avyakt subtle form? Are you in the corporeal or the subtle stage? If you look whilst in the Vyakt stage, you will not be able to see the Father. Today I have come from the subtle region to meet you. There is no sound in the subtle region, but I have come here into sound. What thought is inside all of you? This is now the Avyakt meeting. There must be the thought within the children. Why did Bap Dada not take leave? This was also said to Brahma Baba. Baba replied, if I had sat all the children down and asked them to let you take leave, would they have given it? Seeing the children and the service, you would have been affected by that love. And so whatever Baba made me do is said to be the destination of the drama. If not in a corporeal form, you are still meeting in the Avyakt form. The expansion of service is the same. The remembrance of the children is the same, but the difference is that whereas that one was Avyakt whilst in the corporeal form, this one is only subtle. Those who know about the meeting with the eyes will take the directions and the teachings for themselves through their eyes in this short meeting. All of you have come to the subtle region anyway. Baba is always ready at all times to have a meeting with the children. Now the children will be able to have the experience of an Avyakt meeting to the extent that their intellects are clear. Are you stable in your form of power? To Didi, Baba is still with you just as he was, not separated. Now you have to show the part of being the embodiment of power in a visible way. The teachings you have received from the Father have to be shown in a practical form. There is a large army of Shaktis, but now you have to become the complete embodiment of power. Up to now, you have been progressing through the love of the child and Father. Now you have to make others powerful through the powers that you yourself have received from the Father. Only such loving children will remain with the Father till the end. Sweet, sweet Baba was showing a scene of you children just now where you were carrying the ashes. Do not just see the ashes, see the stage. The ashes themselves remind of you, his stage. There was the powerful stage in every vein. So although externally you kept the ashes, you must not take the meaning of that to be the same as on the path of bhakti. Always see the stage with which the ashes were filled. Ordinary people will not be able to understand these things so clearly. Children have love and it will constantly remain for 21 births. The more you are stable in the Avyakt form, the more the actions performed by the senses will be according to the advice given by Srimad. Children will have this experience. Now, on the basis of your Avyakt stage, perform actions as you have been doing according to Srimad. Avyakt Murli date 25/1/1969. Whilst being stable in the Avyakt stage, see the Avyakt in the corporeal form. The time is close, and so according to the time, the stage of being introverted, of going beyond sound, of being Avyakt, whilst engaged in action, should be visible, and that is still lacking. Your business has to continue, but developing this stage should also continue. Both these should happen together equally. At the moment, they are not. Now Sakar Baba is stable in the Avyakt form, but you children will only be able to have the Alaukik experience of an Avyakt meeting if you are stable in the Avyakt stage. Avyakt Murli date 2/2/1969. All of you are the embodiment of love, are you not? Love that is based on knowledge is real love. The sweetness of your love even pulls Bap Dada here. One desire is visible within the hearts of all the children. What is that? Many children have sent a message that Baba should give them the experience of his subtle region. The time to fulfill this desire of all the children has now come. Would you say that all of you will become trance messengers? No. Children will have the experience of the subtle region, but on the basis of a divine intellect. The Alaukik experience you have now will be all the more beneficial, Alaukik and unique when it is based on a divine intellect. And so, all the children who have the desire to meet Avyakt Bap Dada can do so. How can you do that? The method for this is simply to sit in remembrance at Amrit Vela and have the thought that you are now going to have a meeting with Avyakt Bap Dada. Just as when you knew the time for meeting Sakar Baba beforehand, you never used to feel sleepy. Instead, your intellect would keep that awareness before the meeting. In the same way, if you want to have the experience of an Avyakt meeting, a very easy method for this is to become stable in the Avyakt stage and have a heart-to-heart conversation. You will then experience as though you are truly talking to the Father. And this heart-to-heart conversation, just as the trance messengers are shown some scenes, in the same way you will have the experience of deep, entertaining, significant aspects through the yoga of the intellect. But one thing is essential in order to have this experience. What is that? Do you know? Only those who are stable in the Avyakt stage and introverted throughout the day will be able to remain stable in the Avyakt stage at Amrit Vela. Only they will be able to have this experience at Amrit Vela. If you have love and desire to meet Bap Dada, this is a very easy method. Those who want to do it can do it and can attain the experience of a unique meeting. The sounds from the hearts of the sum of the children reach Baba whilst he is sitting in the subtle region. You must be thinking that Shiv Baba is very hard, but whatever happens is beneficial and significant. This is why, on hearing the sound that reaches here, I smile. Is Bap Dada free from attachment? Are all of you children free from attachment? Have you become free from attachment? How can there be a meeting if Bap Dada is free from attachment and the children have pure attachment? Does Bap Dada have pure attachment? Sakar Baba had pure love for children. Does Shiv Baba not have it? Does Bap Dada have it? It's not the same as ours. Bap Dada has even greater pure attachment than the children have, but there is a difference between Bap Dada and the children. When children have pure attachment, they become the embodiment of it. They either become loving or they become detached. But Bap Dada is both loving and detached at the same time. When this difference that remains is finished, what will you become? Introverted, Avyakt and Alaukik. Now there is still some feeling of being Laukik that gets mixed in. But when you remove this difference, you will be seen as the Alaukik and angelic subtle angels. You can become angels even whilst staying in this corporeal world. You may then say, why did you go and become an angel in the subtle region? You could have become that here, but no. Whatever is the task of the children suits the children best. Whatever is the father's task is done by the father. Children now have to reveal the results of their study to others. Does a teacher not have to reveal the study? A teacher has to teach the study and the students have to reveal that study. Today in the subtle region, there was a fragrance from a distance. From the early morning, Baba was seeing how the things were being prepared with lot of love. Did you see it? Did you tour around the Bhandara, the kitchen? It wasn't the fragrance of the food, but it was the fragrance of love. This love becomes eternal. Your love is eternal, isn't it? Everyone's remembrance reaches here, but a certain stage is needed in order to receive the response. You receive an instant response just as when Baba was in the corporeal form and when children used to say, Baba, they instantly received a response. So even now, you receive a response instantly, but in between you have to let go of the corporeal form and then you will be able to hear the response. Now there is experience of doing even more service in all four directions. Now because of being Avyakt, one quality has increased. Do you know what that is? Previously Baba used to know the external things only. Now he knows the things inside everyone also. In the Avyakt stage, there is no need to know anything. Everyone's chart is automatically visible within a second. This is why it is said that one virtue has increased from before. In the Avyakt stage, the stomach is filled simply by having the fragrance. Avyakt Murli date 6/2/1969. Are all of you on the pilgrimage of remembrance? You have now understood the essence of the study. Put that essence into your life and tell the world of its significance. You have understood the knowledge of the Creator and His creation. You have heard a lot, and now you have to show everyone by becoming the embodiment of all that you have heard. How will you show it? Through your every activity, the divine activity of Bap and Dada should be visible. Only that Father should be seen in your eyes, and only His knowledge should be heard in your speech. Every divine activity should be merged in your every activity. It isn't just the Father's divine activities, but on seeing the Father's divine activities, children should also become ones who perform divine activity. People should see that alokik image in your image. The Avyakt image should be visible in your corporeal image. By making such efforts, you have to show the results of all the efforts that Bap Dada made. On the path of ignorance also, it is as if their father is visible in some children. Through their words and behavior, there would be the experience of their father. In the same way, Baba's virtue should be revealed and will be revealed by each one of Baba's very special children. How will this happen? What is the main effort for this? The main thing is what you were also told by the corporeal form to stay on the pilgrimage of remembrance and to perform actions whilst being stable in the Avyakt stage. Children will now have to face a lot, but the all-powerful one is with you, and so there is no difficulty. Everyone must simply pay attention to one aspect. There will be many obstacles that you have to face. What is the obstacle that you have to face? Do you know? Body consciousness. Body consciousness is the main thing. But desires will create obstacles in between by opposing you. Which desires? My name should be glorified. I am like this. Why wasn't I consulted about this? Why wasn't I given any value? All these various desires will come in the form of obstacles to oppose you. So remember, I must not have any desires. I have to face everything. If I have any desires, I will not be able to face situations. Baba has been telling you about remembering one thing in order for you to become elevated. By having the Avyakt stage, if you imbibe it, you will very quickly and easily be able to remain stable in the Avyakt stage. What is it? At present, we are guests because we are all have to return home via the subtle region. By considering yourself to be a guest, you will be able to remain stable in the high Mahan stage. If instead of considering yourself to be a guest, Mehman, you create the slightest difference in this word, you will fall. What is that word? You have to consider yourself to be a guest and not be influenced by praise, Mahima. If you are influenced by praise, you will not be able to become a guest. If you consider yourself a guest, you will become elevated. It is a very slight difference, Mehman and Mahima, to be a guest and praise. But even the slightest difference brings about a lot of fluctuation. Until now, you have made a lot of efforts, but there has been little instant fruit. Now make less efforts and show greater visible fruit. Everyone has love, but you also have to show the form of love. In fact, you should always be in this stage. However, especially at Shivratri, every child must consider himself to be in Bhakti, just as you used to have programs for Bhattis in the beginning. In this way, each one of you must consider yourself to be in the Bhakti of the pilgrimage of remembrance until Shivratri. Pay attention to having a totally Avyakt stage and also to checking yourself. Then just see how great will be the effect of your Avyakt stage. It isn't difficult, it is very easy. Even as you come into the action, this bhakti can continue. This is an internal stage. The internal stage has a greater effect. Avyakt Murli date 4/3/1969. What was the main yukti for service given to you in the final days of the corporeal form? To encircle everyone, you have to encircle everyone in two ways. Firstly, through words while doing service, and secondly, through the subtle angelic attraction. Let the encircling be such that no one can get away. The main method of encircling them is with the subtle angelic attraction. Let there be such encircling that neither you nor anyone else can get away. You have not yet shown the practical method of encircling. It is easy to build a museum. To build a museum is not encircling, but to be pierced by the subtle angelic attraction means to be encircled. This is to happen now. Avyakt Murli date 17/4/1969. Bap Dada has even greater love than you children have. To the extent that someone is loving, accordingly, he continues to receive the response of that love. Take love with the Avyakt form. To what extent have you learnt the lesson of Avyakt love? This is the lesson of the present time. Take love through your Avyakt form and give the proof of service with love. To what extent have you made the lesson of Avyakt form in a form of love? What do you think the result is? Have you reached halfway? Baba is asking the result of the majority. Some said 25%, some said 75%. There is such a vast difference between 25% and 75%. The majority think that it is 25%. Why is there such a result? What is the reason for this? If there is 25% Avyakt love, what kind of love is the remaining 75%? If the majority have passed a result of only 75%, how will you claim pass marks in the future? Now, Avyakt love is the main thing. Avyakt love gives power to the pilgrimage of remembrance. Avyakt love helps in creating an Avyakt stage. Why is there a result of only 25%? Have you thought of the reason? According to the time now, it should be 75%. So what you will do to achieve such a result? What is the method for that? Introversion. You always say that you have to become introverted, but what is the reason for not being introverted? Avyakt Murli date 7/5/1969. Is there a difference between meeting the Avyakt form and meeting the corporeal form? Do you know the value of the Avyakt invaluable meeting? The value of the Avyakt meeting is in letting go of the corporeal feelings. The more you give value to this Avyakt meeting, the more you experience the Avyakt meeting. Now, each one of you should ask yourself, how much value do I give and how much time have I given for this? At present, there is a need to stabilize the self in the Avyakt stage. Each of you can understand what your own result is, and you can also judge what the result of each other is. Therefore, there is a need for the Avyakt stage to be accomplished. Do you know the signs by which one is able to discern the Avyakt stage in the life of all of you? There will be uniqueness in each action, and secondly, whilst they are performing every action, there will be the experience of supersensuous joy from every physical sense. Their eyes, features, and activity will always remain in supersensuous happiness. You will be able to see the sparkle of uniqueness and supersensuous happiness in every action, through which you will know that they are stable in the Avyakt form whilst in the corporeal form. If you are able to see both these aspects in your actions, you should understand that you are stable in the Avyakt stage. If they aren't visible, then understand that they are lacking and that you have to make effort. In order to attain the Avyakt stage, you have been told one slogan from the very beginning. If you are able to remember that, you can never be defeated by any obstacle of Maya. Does everyone remember such an elevated slogan? That slogan comes in every Murli in different forms. Man Mana Bhav. And I am a child of God the Father. Are there any way? What is the slogan to attain victory over the obstacles created by Maya whilst making effort? The self-sovereignty of heaven is our birthright. At the confluence age, the Father's treasure is our birthright. Have you forgotten that slogan? What will happen when you forget your right? You know what things you have a right over, for all these things are your birthright. When you consider yourself to have a right, you will not be dependent on Maya. In order to save yourself from being dependent, consider yourself to have rights. First of all, you have a right to the happiness of the confluence age, and then you have a right to the happiness of heaven in the future. And so do not forget your rights. When you forget your rights, you become dependent on one or another. And those who are dependent on external things can never be happy. Those who are dependent on external things have the attainment of sorrow in every aspect, in their thoughts, words, and actions. Those who have a right stay in the intoxication and joy of having the right. And because of this joy, the wealth of happiness is threaded around their neck in the form of a garland. Only those who are stable in the Avyakt form are able to experience the Avyakt meeting. At the present time, there is a greater lack in the Avyakt stage. You are all right in two aspects, but lacking in the third aspect. One is to speak about something and the other is to churn it. You are all right in these two aspects. Both of them are easy. The third aspect is a little subtle. In the result seen at present, there is greater speaking about something and less churning it. What is the third aspect? One is to churn something and the other is to become lost in that. That is the stage in which you are totally merged in love. And so, at present, there is greater speaking than even churning. You are victorious in the first number, second in churning, and third in staying in the stage where you are totally lost. It is visible that you are lacking in this stage. From the activity of those who stay in a stage of being totally lost, the virtues of uniqueness and having supersensuous joy are visible. And so you have to make intense effort to remove this weakness. All of you are effort makers. This is why you have reached this far. But now it's not the time to be effort makers. It is now the time to be intense effort makers. What will happen if you just become effort makers? When you need to become intense effort makers, you will remain very far from your destination. Avyakt Murli date 9/6/1969. Are all of you stable in the Avyakt stage whilst in the corporeal form? What do you call the Avyakt stage? Do you recognize it? First there is the recognition of the Avyakt stage. Then there is the discernment of it. Do you have knowledge of both these aspects? What do you call the Avyakt stage? the absence of the awareness of the corporeal form. How can there not be the awareness of the corporeal form whilst performing actions with the corporeal form? How much experience do you have of the Avyakt stage whilst being in the corporeal form? Today Baba wants to ask all of you this. What is the longest time you should spend in this stage? What should be the longest time? Do you know that? 8 hours. According to the complete stage, even 8 hours is insufficient. According to your present effort, is 8 hours too much? Not a single person raised his hand. Acha. Those who have reacted or reached 6 hours, raise your hands. Again, not a single person raised his hand. Acha. Those who have reached 4 hours of remembrance, raise your hands. Some raised their hands for 4 hours remembrance and some for 2 hours. According to this result, how much time do you need to make effort? The course has finished. You are now doing the revised course, but even then the result for the majority of you is not so good. What is the reason for this? All of you are making effort. You have the enthusiasm and you have the aim. Then why are you not able to do it? Lack of attention is the reason. In which aspect is there a lack of attention? Everyone has the attention to be worthy and come close, but which aspect of attention is still lacking? What causes the lack of practice of the Avyakt stage? All sitting here are effort makers. Is there anyone sitting here who would say that he is not an effort maker? Since you are the effort makers, why is this lacking? What do you have to do? Why are you not able to remain introverted when you want to? Why do you become extroverted? All of you have become enlightened souls. Whilst being clever, enlightened souls, why do you become senseless? You have received understanding. The course for understanding has also finished. And since the course is finished, it means that you have become sensible. Why are you still senseless? It has been seen that the main reason is that some of you become careless, and this can also be called laziness. The sweet form of laziness is lethargy. There are many forms of laziness. The majority of you have laziness or carelessness in one form or another. There is the desire and also the effort to do it, but because there is carelessness, you are not able to make the kind of effort that you should be making. When there is greater knowledge in the intellect, there is greater carelessness because of it. Those who consider themselves to be less clever are making intense effort. Those who consider themselves to be very clever become more careless. The desperation to show and do something that there previously used to be in your effort has now finished. You have become content. You have become content with yourself. We have understood the knowledge. We are doing service anyway. You must not become a contented soul in this way. There should be that compulsion and enthusiasm in your effort. Just as when the ones in bondage are desperate, they make intense effort. However, those who are not in bondage become content and so become careless. This is the result seen in the majority of effort makers. Always think that you are becoming a number one effort maker, not that you have become that. When there is the knowledge of all three aspects of time in the intellect, you consider yourself to be even more clever. You were also told previously how you become a master when you should become a child, and how you become a child when you should become a master. So you are making sweet effort in the form of a child. You have claimed a right in the kingdom, and you have also received the tilak. However, this slack and sweet effort will not do any more. The more you remain stable in the form of Shakti, the more powerful your efforts will be. Avyakt Murli date 16/7/1969. Bap Dada has come to celebrate the ceremony of the transformation of all of you. So you have come for the ceremony of transformation. Why were you sitting in the bhatti? For transformation. So today, you are meeting Bap Dada in the ceremony of transformation. All of you have this eagerness for transformation. You also have enthusiasm and courage. This is what is seen from the chart of today's bhatti. What are you able to see in these brothers from their zeal for transformation? To Dadi Kumarka. Just as when you see the strong winds, you know that is going to rain. In the same way, what do you understand from this enthusiasm for transformation? What does transformation make you realize? Enthusiasm for transformation especially gives the recognition that the time for revelation is very close. First there will be the revelation, and then heaven will be clearly visible on this earth. So it gives the recognition of the revelation. The soul is sparkling on the forehead of each of you. But what else is also sparkling on your forehead? Bap Dada is seeing the shining star of hope. Just don't allow the clouds to come in front of this star. Otherwise the star will be hidden. Continue to sustain the shining star of hope that is now visible in any task, whether it is gross or subtle. Firstly, you must never lose courage, and secondly, always maintain love for one another. Then there will be victory for the Pandavas. You will be able to hear the cries of victory. At present, there are different things happening. When there is victory, the play comes to an end. Then you will be able to see the flag of the subtle stage from a distance. The entire world will be able to see the flag of your Avyakt and constant stage of flying. The commitment you have made today in the form of tying a bracelet as a promise for transformation has to be kept eternally. Avyakt Murli date 17/7/1969. Do you like the Avyakt stage, or do you prefer to come into the corporeal stage? Is there sound in the Avyakt stage? Do you wish to stay beyond sound? When all of you are trying to stay beyond sound, and you also like that, then why do you call Bap Dada into the corporeal world? What effort should you make in order to constantly remain in the Avyakt stage? Give an answer in just one word through which you can maintain the Avyakt stage. Which one word should you remember so that you are able to create the Avyakt stage? Give one word through which your thoughts, words and actions remain Avyakt whilst being in the corporeal stage. To be soul conscious. Soul consciousness means an Avyakt stage. So what should you remember for that stage? What effort should you make? Gradually, all of you will have the stage when you will be able to know beforehand what is inside each one. This is why you are made to practice this. The more you stabilize yourself in the Avyakt stage, whether someone speaks through the mouth or not, the more you will be able to know that one's feelings beforehand. Such a time will come. This is why you are made to practice this. So Baba was asking you first, what one word should you remember? To consider yourself to be a guest. If you consider yourself a guest, you will be able to become the final perfect stage that has been remembered. If you consider yourself a guest, then whilst being in the corporeal form, you will be able to remain in the Avyakt stage. A guest does not have any attachment to anyone. We are guests, even in this body. We are also guests in this old world. Since we are guests in this body, why should we have attachment to it? You have to use this body for just a little while. What will you become there if you become a guest here? The more you are guest here, the greater a master of the world you will be there. You are not the masters of this world. You are guests in this world and masters of the new world. The reason you come into the feeling of corporeal is that you do not consider yourself to be a guest. You consider yourself to have a right over things. This is why you have attachment. If you consider yourself a guest, all these things will finish. Avyakt Murli date 19/7/1969. Why have you called Baba today? In order to make us powerful. If you have called Baba to make you powerful, in what aspect do you feel there is a lack of power? In which special aspect do you wish to be made powerful? How will you make service powerful? You have to check how powerful you have made yourself. All of you are called Shiv Shaktis. So do the Shaktis already have power? Or are they still becoming the embodiment of power? Bap Dada has come to see which ornaments are ready to decorate Bap Dada's world. Now the ornaments are ready, but what happens to that which is ready? It is then polished. Now it just remains to be polished. The main thing that has to be polished is just this. Everyone has to create extra time for staying in the Avyakt stage for a longer period. Only the polish of the Avyakt stage now remains. Whilst talking to one another, see each other as souls. Whilst being in the body, see the soul. This is the first lesson which is now essential. In order to put all the things of dharana that you have heard about into your life, you have to make this first lesson firm. This practical stage of the vision of soul consciousness is still lacking. For greater success in service, the main method is just this, to do service in soul consciousness. The first lesson has to be polished. This is essential. Have you ever noted for how long you maintain the vision and awareness of soul consciousness throughout the day? You can perceive the result of this stage through the result of your service. This stage is like a flame. Moths are drawn to a flame against their conscious wish. Avyakt Murli date 23/7/1969. Acha, you must have heard a lot in the bhatti. It isn't that because you have heard a lot, it is difficult to stabilize yourself in the point form. The weakness of not being able to stabilize yourself in the point form is that the first lesson is not firm. You should experience yourself to be a bodiless soul whilst performing actions. This practice throughout the day is very much needed. You have to be detached from practical matters and then come into action. The more experience you have of this, the more you will stabilize yourself in the point form. However, not so much attention is being paid to this. You say that you don't have the time, but you can make the time. If you have the aim, then just as when someone has to go to somewhere for a special task, he pays special attention to make the time for it. This is the one special task for the short time of the confluence age that remains. If you consider it to be a special task and make the time in between, it can be possible. But because you don't have this practice, your time passes by in just thinking about it. If you pay attention, then as you are circumstances around you, accordingly you can increase this practice. All of you are weak in this practice. In fact, it is not difficult to stabilize yourself in the form of a point. Practice becoming detached. The point form is of being detached anyway. It is incorporeal and detached. When you stabilize yourself in the stage of being incorporeal and detached, you will have the experience of the point form. Whilst walking and moving around, you will be able to experience the angelic stage. Your practice will become such that you will be able to remain in the Avyakt stage whenever you wish. You will then be able to fill yourself with a lot of power in just 1 second's experience. And you will also experience the powers of applying a brake and steering. To experience the point form is not difficult. It is just thoughts that bring you down. If you have the power to apply a brake to your thoughts, you will be able to remain in the Avyakt stage. For a longer period, you have to consider yourself a soul and remain stable in that stage. When you stabilize yourself in your original stage, you will then experience your virtues. You are able to experience the virtues of a place that you visit against your conscious wish. When you visit a cool place, then even if you don't want to, you experience the coolness of that place. This is the same. Om Shanti.